A seventh grade boy was suspended from his school for playing with his pencil. Another child in this school accused him of threatening it, using it like a gun. So I wonder what this real story is. Michael Chaplin is the father of Ethan Chaplin, and he joins us from Vernon, New Jersey. Michael, give us a background. What is this story all about?
Well, the story started Thursday afternoon, just before school let out. I got a call from the principal who said there was an incident with my son, and I should come to the school and we would talk about it. So I drove to the school, and when I got there, I was informed that Ethan was talking to two guidance counselors, and I'd be allowed to see him when he was done. They then went on to explain that he was in math class, sitting in the front of the room, and another student had accused him, or blurted out, actually, in the middle of math class, that he was making gun motions, send him to juvie. So not much happened. The teacher asked him to put the pencil down, and the day went on. But about a minute before the school let out for the day and he got on the bus, he was hauled into the principal's office, completely unaware of what was going on. He was just sort of taken by surprise, and then they laid out for him that he was in a lot of trouble.
For using a pencil. Gun motion, I don't even see how that works, but I think it gets even worse in terms of the way he was treated. Apparently, he was stripped. He had to give blood samples. What's that all about?
Well, what happened after I finally got to meet with the vice principal and my son, they explained that he was not allowed to come back to school until he underwent a psychological evaluation. At this point, I thought the school had gone way over the edge, and I said, well, that's not going to happen, and I'll come back tomorrow, and we can talk about this and sort this out. Meanwhile, a New Jersey state agency got involved, and they called the following day to insist that he go to the nearest emergency room and be admitted to the crisis unit to be evaluated for violent behavior. Again, I refused, but his mother, who doesn't live with us, she obliged and took him to the hospital, and I went along for the ride. Once at the hospital, yes, he was stripped. He was put in an isolation room. We were allowed to be with him, of course, but he was put in a room. Blood was then drawn, which caused him to pass out. When he regained consciousness, he vomited. He was then put into a bed in the hospital, and he waited for about 4 hours until being seen by a social worker who talked to him for about 5 minutes and then cleared him and was going to send him on our way. About an hour after that, a doctor came in and said that the entire process that he had just undergone was incorrect. And this was about 10 o'clock at night. They wanted to send us to another psychiatric facility. And at that point, I said, absolutely not, and we went home.
Okay, now is he back in school?
He is. It was when we showed up at the Board of Education with the very first camera crew. Within 15 minutes of that interview, the school had called and said, we'll take whatever information you have from the hospital and he can come back Monday. So Monday morning came around. They asked that I bring him in personally and that we meet. So we waited in the school waiting room for about a half an hour. They brought us into the principal's office. They asked Ethan if he would like any changes made to his classroom situation and then send him on his way. And then they handed me a very interesting document. I don't quite understand it yet, asking for further medical evaluation. The document's being looked at. But they were then very terse with me and literally showed me the door. At the end of the day, Ethan got off the bus and explained to me that he spent the entire day with the principal of the school, following him around from class to class and even sitting in on classes with him, which we find quite odd. And that's where we are. He's back again today, and I'll be picking him up in about 2 hours.
Wow.
We'll see how it went.
What a story. And Michael, I'll just interrupt because Gina Phillips wanted to ask a question as well. Gina.
Yeah, what an incredible story. It's almost hard to believe. I'm just wondering, after all this media attention, and how is Ethan doing? And does he think about the situation differently compared to when it was happening to now that he's kind of stepped back and given some perspective that maybe this was just totally ridiculous on the school's part?
Well, initially he was just plain confused.
Right.
He had no clue what was going on. And now he's just sort of, well, he's the most popular kid in school, but other than that, he's still bewildered. He's just not sure what all the fuss is about or why the school's giving him such a hard time. He's just sort of beside himself.
Right.
Other than that, his daily activities are the same. He goes mountain biking with his friends after school and plays Xbox. And
well, that's good. How about the kid that originally called him out? Has he had any backlash, or what was done there?
I have no idea. The school of course, they're not going to provide any information.
Right.
But as far as I know, nothing has happened.
Wow, it's just
and I
incredible.
really don't want anything to happen to the other student. I really don't.
Yeah, no, certainly. But it does speak to the oversensitivity about guns in schools. And, if one kid feels threatened, the school feels like they can just act on the other student immediately, no matter what.
And that was sort of the point of view of the superintendent. I read a few of his quotes, and he said that he doesn't want to be the superintendent who allows another Sandy Hook to happen.
Oh.
Aside from being a very interesting quote, I don't like the accusation.
Absolutely.
No, and that brings up an excellent point. I mean, yes, people are sensitive, and you get this gross overreaction, but the school board seems to intimate that there was a relationship between your son and the kid who talked about the gun motion, and it seems to be a schoolyard dispute that's gone nuts. Was the relationship a bad relationship between the two boys?
They don't really know each other, but they just don't get along. That seems to be the long and short of it. They're not buddies. They sort of give each other verbal jabs every once in a while. They call each other annoying, and they're just not friends.
Yeah. So the kid is playing into the sensitivities of the school, and you happen to be the victims. Michael, keep us informed on how this all plays out with the school board in the future.
I certainly will. I would like to add that the ACLU has become involved this morning, so there'll be more to come.
There'll be more developments.
Wow.
Michael, thanks very much.
You're
Michael Chaplin is the father of Ethan Chaplin. He joins us from Vernon, New Jersey.